Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Housewives Dorit and PK Kemsley meet up for dinner amid divorce. Are the tides finally turning in Dorit Kemsley and PK Kemsley's relationship? The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star filed for divorce from her husband PK several months ago, and their split was anything but amicable. However, things may be looking up. Dorit and PK were recently spotted out for dinner together, and shockingly, it was going well between them. Season 14 of Housewives kicked off with a major bombshell when Dorit announced she and PK had separated. The Bubbas were no more. Still, Dorit had hoped they could turn things around, but that was officially squashed when PK was snapped making out with Shauna Wall, another reality TV star. The next day, Dorit decided to pull the plug and file for divorce. That kiss might have sealed their fate. Since then, things haven't been pleasant. There is their ongoing custody battle, and when the two were at their son's baseball game, they were sitting completely apart from one another. Still, the tides might be turning. Thames reported that Dorit and PK were spotted out for dinner together in Sherman Oaks at a Japanese restaurant, making this their first dinner out since the divorce filing. I'm sure it was awkward, to say the least. However, witnesses claimed things were fine between them. Apparently the two looked relaxed and were in good spirits. It was also noted that this was not filmed for the cameras, which means it wasn't just for show. In fact, Thames also reported that PK hasn't filmed at all with Dorit for the upcoming season of Housewives. Although I'm sure Dorit is spilling all the tea about their divorce in her confessionals for season 15. Regardless, let's hope this dinner brings them one step closer to settling their differences once and for all. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is streaming on Peacock and Hulu in the UK and Ireland. When it comes to the world of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, drama doesn't stop when the cameras go down, and lately the spotlight has been burning especially bright on Dorit and PK Kemsley. For years, viewers have watched a stylish pair navigate lavish parties, extravagant vacations, and the pressures of Beverly Hills society, all while maintaining a marriage that often appeared as glamorously unshakable as Dorit's couture wardrobe. But behind the carefully curated Instagram posts and witty one-liners, whispers of trouble have been growing louder. So when Dorit and PK were spotted stepping into a chic Beverly Hills restaurant for a quiet dinner together, it sent the rumor mill into overdrive. Was this a reconciliation, a farewell meal, or simply two co-parents trying to find middle ground? The arrival. On a warm summer evening, Dorit arrived first. She stepped out of a sleek black car, her heels clicking against the pavement with the kind of confidence that only a Beverly Hills housewife could carry. Her outfit was, of course, the kind of look that turned heads, a mix of tailored sophistication and daring fashion risk. Despite her polished exterior, those who looked closely might have noticed the way she hesitated just slightly at the restaurant door, smoothing her hair before walking inside. Minutes later, PK arrived. Gone were his usual wide grins and playful banter that fans had come to know. Instead, he wore a more subdued expression, as if bracing himself for a difficult conversation. He adjusted his jacket, gave the valet a nod, and headed inside. When the two finally locked eyes at the table, it wasn't the fiery reunion some might have expected. It was quieter, gentler, a moment that hinted at shared history, memories, and perhaps even unspoken sadness. The dinner table. The server poured glasses of sparkling water before retreating, leaving the estranged couple to their own bubble of tension. So PK began, his accent carrying the weight of someone searching for the right words. It's been a while since we've sat down like this. Just us. Dorit folded her hands neatly in her lap, her rings catching the low light of the restaurant. It has, she admitted. Her tone wasn't cold, but it wasn't entirely warm either. There was distance in it, like someone who had learned to guard herself. The silence that followed was thick, but not entirely uncomfortable. They were two people who had built a life together, raised children together, laughed and cried in front of cameras together. That kind of bond doesn't just vanish overnight. The Beverly Hills night air was cool, the kind of crispness that made sequined gowns shimmer a little brighter under the glow of valet lights. Dorit Kemsley stepped out of a sleek black car, her blonde hair cascading in meticulously styled waves, every inch of her appearance calculated yet seemingly effortless. It had been weeks since the news of her separation from PK had sent shockwaves through the world of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and tonight was supposed to be nothing more than a simple dinner. But nothing with the Kemsleys was ever simple. Inside the restaurant, one of Beverly Hills' newest hotspots, where even the air smelled like money and truffle oil, PK was already seated at a corner table. He had arrived early, a rarity for him, and wore his usual mixture of British charm and world-weary heaviness. A tailored blazer hung a bit looser than before. He had lost weight since the split, though whether from stress or intention was anyone's guess. When Dorit walked in, heads turned. The room seemed to pause for just a moment. The hostess led her toward PK, who stood up, his face pulling into a familiar grin. For all the rumors, the gossip, and the long silences between them, there was still that flicker in his eyes when he looked at her. Like he couldn't quite decide if he was seeing the love of his life or the ghost of what used to be. "Babe," PK said softly as she reached the table, pulling out her chair. She hesitated. The word carried so much history, but she sat, smoothing the silk of her gown before answering, "It's been a while." They ordered wine, Dorit insisting on her favorite Sauvignon Blanc, PK settling on a Scotch neat. The silence between them stretched, broken only by the murmur of nearby diners and the clinking of crystal. It wasn't an awkward silence, exactly, but a heavy one. A silence filled with things unsaid. Finally, PK leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "You look beautiful, as always. I mean, you probably look stunning even if you wore a trash bag, but tonight," his voice trailed and he gestured helplessly, as if words could no longer bridge the gap between them. Dorit smiled faintly, but her eyes gave nothing away. "Thank you, PK. You look like you've been through it." He laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Haven't we both?" They ordered food. Salads, a shared plate of pasta, something they might have once fought over because Dorit didn't want the carbs and PK thought it was a waste not to enjoy the meal. But tonight it felt different. Neither of them cared much about appearances, at least not in front of each other. They had been through too many nights of excess, too many dinners where the cameras were watching, too many conversations where every word was carefully measured for storyline value. This dinner was raw, honest, dangerous. "So, why did you really want to meet tonight?" Dorit asked, tilting her head. Her accent, still a blend of London and Leh, was sharper when she was suspicious. "Because I know you, PK. You don't just pick a restaurant and invite me out unless there's something behind it." PK sighed, pushing his drink aside. "I didn't want the last thing between us to be lawyers and headlines. I wanted to look at you, Dorit, just you, without the noise, without Bravo cameras, without people dissecting every breath we take." Her throat tightened. For a moment, the armor she had perfected, couture gowns, witty one-liners, a face that never cracked under pressure, threatened to falter. "PK, we've been drowning in that noise for years. You think one dinner fixes that?" "No," he admitted, his voice low. "But maybe it reminds us that beneath it all there was something real. Still is." They ate in silence for a while, but it was different now, less heavy. PK told her about the new business venture he was dabbling in, half joking that it was his comeback tour. Dorit rolled her eyes but listened, just like she always had. In return, she shared snippets about her upcoming fashion line, her renewed focus on design, and how she wanted to prove she wasn't just another reality star, but a woman with vision. They spoke like old friends, slipping into an ease that had been missing for months, maybe years. But then the conversation shifted, as it always did, back to the fracture. "Do you hate me?" PK asked suddenly, his eyes searching hers. Dorit blinked, caught off guard. "What? No. I could never hate you. But you're done with me." His voice cracked, and the vulnerability in it was so raw. Dorit almost reached across the table to take his hand. "Almost. I'm not done with you as a person," she said softly. "But as a husband," she trailed off, her words floating between them like a confession. "We lost each other somewhere, and neither of us knew how to find our way back."